never been anything like it. It's the deepest diving submarine in human history.
It is one of the most infamous shipwrecks in history, and a Post-Falls man played a key role in the latest mission to the Titanic.
Way cooler today, but we're not done with the summer heat just yet. A look at when we'll hit 90s yet again in our forecast.
Plus, tonight, authorities were called to the scene of a small plane forced to make an emergency landing in a field northwest of Spokane. We'll tell you what we know. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
It's good to have you with us tonight. I'm Whitney Ward. We begin now with some developing news out of the 9 Mile Falls area. That is where authorities are investigating a small plane that was forced to make an emergency landing.
It happened at around 7:30 tonight near North Dover Road and West Ford Mound Road, where the plane ultimately came to rest in a field. KREM 2's Casey Decker is live at a nearby fire station tonight. And Casey, what can you tell us?
Well, Mark, Whitney, the first thing we know is that only the pilot was on board, and he was physically okay. When we arrived at the scene earlier tonight, he was walking around, although he did not want to be on camera. Take a look at this plane, though. According to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, this is a Vans RV4. Now, that plane can seat two, although, like I said, this time it was just the pilot. He was taking off from Deer Park Airport when the plane suffered a mechanical failure. He decided he couldn't keep safely flying the plane, so had to make an emergency landing. He spotted this open field near 9 Mile Falls and eventually made what authorities described as a hard landing. And as you can see, the plane is intact, though naturally it did suffer some damage from that hard landing. The Vans RV4 is actually purchased as a kit, and then it's built at home. It's one of the older available models you can buy from that company, which is actually based out of Aurora, Oregon. So all in all, it certainly could have been a lot worse here tonight. The pilot, he's uninjured, and no one else was injured either. Reporting live near 9 Mile Falls, Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
That's the best news right there. Nobody injured tonight. Casey, thank you. All right, to weather now. The cool front that moved in earlier will be carrying over into the weekend. Today was actually 16 degrees cooler than yesterday.
What a difference a day makes, right? Let's send it over to Thomas Patrick right now to let us know just how long these cooler temperatures will stick around.
Yeah, that 24-hour comparison this afternoon was quite something, even almost 20 degrees in some locations in the inland northwest. Starting to even out now, but our high temperatures only upper 70s and only 73 in Coeur d'Alene this afternoon. Actually a very comfortable day for the inland northwest and a little bit warmer out in central Washington. That cooler weather does carry over into this evening, already in the 60s, and it'll fall into the mid 50s or so by sunrise tomorrow morning. Otherwise, more pleasant weather ahead of us, at least for a couple more days. But we're not finished with the summer heat just yet. Let's take this out all the way until next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, and that heat looks like it's going to take another return. And I'll tell you just how hot it's going to be, and if 90 is a possibility for Spokane before the end of the month. Those details in just a few minutes.
Looking forward to it, Thomas. Thank you. People living in Spokane's Browns Addition successfully passed a landmark measure to designate the neighborhood as a historic district today. That area will become the first designated historic area in Spokane. It's a designation that will help maintain the historic character of Browns Addition while still allowing property owners to take advantage of certain incentives, including tax valuations and grants.
Well, when complete, it'll be one of the largest energy-saving buildings in the world and a learning center for 1,000 students, and it's right here in Spokane. Construction on the eco-friendly building in Spokane's U District is about halfway done. It is called the South Landing Catalyst Building. It's a $64 million project, 5 stories tall and 159,000 square feet, and it'll be Spokane's first zero-energy and zero-carbon facility.
So one of the biggest features of the Catalyst building is its net zero energy supply, meaning it will produce just as much energy as it uses, and then any excess energy will actually go back to Avista for them to put onto the power grid. Well, this was a major cocaine discovery in a most unusual place. $1 million worth of cocaine found packed in boxes of bananas at 3 Washington Safeway stores. At one store in Woodinville, King County deputies recovered nearly 50 pounds of cocaine, which is worth about $500,000. And similar shipments were also found at 2 other stores in Federal Way and Bellingham.
What we've learned from Safeway is that they've got trucks that supply the western side of the U.S., 144 stores, and it sounds like several of the stores, some way or another, got these boxes of bananas and mixed in with the bananas in a banana box were drugs.
Right now, deputies don't know where the drugs came from. No word on how the drugs ended up at the Safeway stores, but deputies believe the stores were certainly not the intended destination. We called around our local Safeways. A company representative told us they have not heard of anything similar happening in eastern Washington or North Idaho.
Governor Jay Inslee is changing course. Today, Inslee announced he is running for a third term as governor, just hours after he dropped out of the 2020 presidential race.
Now that he has shifted, we wanted to look into what his campaign might look like. First, he addressed his presidential run. He wrote, quote, "It was a profound honor to work with you on our mission to defeat climate change. I am proud of what we have accomplished both in the presidential race and in my role as governor of Washington."
He then went on to say that he wants to continue to stand up against President Trump and adds he wants to strengthen and enhance Washington state's role.
We had a good run. I think we accomplished some important things because we told the Washington story around the United States. I have called other candidates to raise their ambitions, and we had a great grassroots effort. It broke a little late after the second debate, where we then got 42,000 more donors. So we got our momentum a little late, but now I'm really looking forward to this next 4 years in the state of Washington if people give me this high honor.
Governors in Washington state are not subject to term limits, though most haven't served more than 2 terms. The last 3-term governor in our state was Republican Governor Dan Evans. He served from 1965 until 1977.
So here's a look now at the Democrats that have qualified for the upcoming debate in September. Julian Castro was the latest to make the cut. The latest polling shows Tulsi Gabbard and Tom Steyer are close to reaching that 2% requirement.
Any other candidate running will have until the 28th to qualify for the debate. If any candidates do qualify, the debate will be split into 2 nights.
Well, fires in the Amazon rainforest have been burning for weeks, and now they are the center of conspiracy theories and claims that the government or some other agency may have set them on purpose.
We have had our Verify team looking into the fires and breaking down what the facts are. Here's our Jason Puckett tonight.
There's been a sort of viral information surge about the wildfires in the Amazon, and it's led to a lot of misinformation. Here's what I mean. This tweet has been shared nearly 500,000 times in just 2 days. It claims there's been a lack of media coverage as the Amazon has been burning for 3 weeks. But if that's all you read, you get a pretty misleading take on what's happening. First off, the photos aren't from these fires. The one on the left is from 1989, and we found the right photo on a site from 2012. Also, there are articles from earlier in August from news outlets and government agencies like NASA and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It may not have been the headline of every media outlet, but that could be because there are fires in the Amazon around this time every year. NASA reports that it's currently Brazil's dry season, and that due to high temps and low humidity, fires aren't unusual right now. Another reason this story is gaining attention, warring claims that the fires may have been purposefully started. Hosts like this say the fires are intentional, set by the Brazilian government and agro-businesses. And then you have the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro himself on Facebook Live saying it's not the government, it's actually his political rivals setting those fires to make him look bad. Look, at this point, there is no evidence whatsoever that these fires were set intentionally, and no one has been able to point to proof that it was either the Brazilian government or their rivals. Now, we're not saying all this to diminish what's happening. Data from the Brazilian Institute for Space Research shows that there have been more than 75,000 fires in the Amazon since the start of the year. That's the highest since they started recording in 2013, and almost an 85% increase over last year. Photos from the area and satellite images from NASA show that there are seriously large parts of the Amazon that are on fire and have burned in recent months. There could likely be impacts to the local environment that could potentially impact the rest of the world. But as the coverage of these fires continues to develop, it's important to keep a focus on the facts, not the speculation. So if you see any other claims going around, send us an email and we'll verify it for you. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
It's always important to verify, right?
Yes, indeed.
Good information. Okay, still ahead tonight. The Real ID Act still a year away from taking effect, but you need to act now.
Yeah, we're breaking down everything you'll need to know just so your travel plans do not get put on hold.